something that's really interesting that you'll find with Eastern religious leaders, they may have extraordinary capacity to enter altered states of consciousness. Doesn't matter if they're Islamic mystic, Taoist, Hindu, yogi, whatever. These are some people who have an incredible capacity at entering extremely high states of consciousness. And we in the West sort of see this as, the be-all and end-all. Well, if they've got these incredibly high states of consciousness, then they're a perfect human being. But what actually happens is when we repress the shadow work element that integral theory is saying this needs to be looked after. What happens if we ignore the insights of Western psychologists such as Freud and Jung and don't work on that shadow repressed side of our subconscious? Well, what happens is you have Buddhists who are incredibly enlightened. Let's say they've accessed higher states of consciousness, but they may be abusers because they've repressed certain aspects of their psyche to such an extent that it's become a problem. It's become a condition. You certainly see this. It's not even that uncommon. There's plenty of stories of Hindu yogis abusing their female followers, whereas and we in the West say how, because you're meant to be this enlightened saint. Well, they're just a human. They may have access to high states of consciousness, but if they haven't worked on their repressed shadow element that Western psychology has done so well at identifying, if they are repressing their sexuality super heavily, that's going to cause a neurosis of some sort, and they will act like that. They very well may be able to get into different states of consciousness, but the stage of consciousness that they're at, they haven't done that cleaning up shadow work. They're more likely to have neuroses and do harm to other people in these ways. You can see examples of this in the Buddhist terror attack. People say, oh, Buddhists don't commit terror attacks. Well, there has been a case where a Buddhist group committed a terror attack in Japan, I believe it was. You'll see this with some Hindu yogis where the scandal comes out about them abusing their followers. Happens more often in the church. That's usually due to sexual repression, and that creates a lot of harm. But note, what the key thing to notice here is, yes, cultivating our consciousness through meditation, spiritual practices, as has been done in the East for thousands of years, is incredibly valuable. But don't also ignore the psychological insights of the West. That's shadow work, figuring out what you've repressed and why you've repressed it. Doing this creates a greater sense of wholeness than the sum of the parts. That's why it's called integral theory. We're integrating the best of everything, integrating the insights of the Western psychologists that, for some reason, the Hindus and the Taoists didn't get a hold of. Nobody's perfect. We need to now integrate everything together.